Hello everyone and welcome back to Paper Peony. I'm Kimberly Jones and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. I'm going to be showing you today the terrific Toadstools bundle that is found in our new mini catalog. And in our mini catalog looks like this. And if you open it up or flip to page 53 in the catalog, you're going to find this bundle. You're going to see some ideas. You're going to see the embellishments that pair with it. It is a stamp set, a photopolymer clear stamp set, and it is a punch. You can buy them separately, but if you buy them together, it is a 10% savings, and it is $38.50 if you buy them together. Here is the punch, and here is the stamp set in closer detail. And the images are a little bit bigger than what they appear in the catalog, but it is perfect to stamp the mushrooms that you're seeing on this card. Okay, and the other product that I'm going to be using is the Stylish Shapes dies. And we're going to be using this bigger square for our background to our mushrooms. And I went ahead and die cut that piece out. Later, I will do a tutorial on how to use our die cut system, but for now, I went ahead and did that for the sake of the video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to, and I'm going to move, these are the samples. One is stamped directly onto the background, and then one is actually stamped and punched out. So if you see that you don't have enough room to stamp your image. Okay, so I'm going to bring in our wonderful Stampin' Up paper trimmer and score. It extends, this arm extends to 17 inches. And here you will have a cutting blade and a scoring blade, and they just move in and out, so you can move them out of each other's way when you need it. I am using a piece of pumpkin pie cardstock, 8.5 by 11. I'm going to bring it. This is going to be a tent style card. I'm going to bring it to 4 1/4, and then I'm going to use my black blade and cut that. Okay. Then I'm going to flip it at 5 1/2, use my score blade, which is the gray, the light gray, and I am going to run up and down a couple times to make sure it scores all the way through the cardstock. Our cardstock happens to be really, really thick, so it's good to go through it a couple times to make sure it is scored perfectly. And our designer series paper is a little bit thinner, so when you go to score on our designer series paper, I strongly encourage that you only do it once. That way it doesn't tear your paper. Okay, so I'm using a bone folder here to make a really nice fold crease, and that way my card will stand up perfectly and not fall down. Okay, so here is my card base. So we're going to set this aside for now, and we're going to go ahead and do our main focus point on our card. Okay, so I'm going to bring in, to keep from stamping on my table, I sometimes use the back part of our 12 by 12 designer series paper. You get this little thin piece of cardboard, and it does describe all the colors that are in the cardstock, but I get so many of these that I don't need them all. But I just flip it over and use this as my stamping base. You can also use silicone mats. I do normally use my glass mat, but there's a glare, and so I did not want the glare, or I didn't want you to see the selfie light, the big ring on the glass mat as I'm doing this, because it is sometimes distracting. Okay, so here is your square. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in. What we're going to do first is we're going to stamp. In the stamp, you have got this nice little green branch. And I'm going to mask, I'm going to stamp this a couple times on a piece of Post-it note. We also have masking tape. You can use masking tape as well, but I am kind of used to using Post-it notes, so we're going to do that for the sake of today. I'm going to stamp this up to where it's sticky a couple times. Doesn't matter what color you stamp it. You're going to cut these out as close as you can to the leaf, because if you don't, then you're going to have some blank space, and I'll show you that as we're doing it. You're going to cut these out, and then you're going to have these little Post-it little stickies, okay? And I have 4 of them. Okay, and I'll show you how all this works. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this in, and I'm going to, with this nice little leaf, I am going to come in with my old olive ink, and I'm going to stamp off. I do not want all of the ink on this. Okay, so you're just going to come in, stamp off, and then stamp on. Okay, and do it 4 times. Okay, then I took a blending brush, put just a little bit of your old olive ink on your blending brush, and then just start to the right and go left, or vice versa. And this is going to kind of make it a little bit more subtle. Then what I did is, we're done with the old olive for now. Then what I did is I brought in these little sticky leaves, and I kind of camouflaged where I have stamped. And you want them to be over the exact stamped image, because that way when you go to stamp your mushrooms or your toadstools, you get as close to the leaf as possible. And I've used these quite a bit. They are where you can use them more than once. These have been used quite a bit. Okay, they've been loved. Okay, so I have got all of my mushrooms mounted for the sake of the time frame we have here. And what we're going to do is this is the bigger mushroom or toadstool stem, and I'm going to stamp it in Balmy Blue. And this is full strength. So I'm just going to come in and stamp that like that. Okay, and then I'm going to also go ahead and stamp this mushroom in Balmy Blue, kind of off to the far right. Okay. And if they come off, that's fine. You can just re-stick them back on. No big deal. Okay. All right, and then we're also going to stamp this toadstool cap onto some white. Okay, and that's what I have there. Okay, let that air dry. Okay, so for now we're done with the blue. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our pumpkin pie ink. And these store upside down. That's why there's a flip to them as you open them up, which I absolutely love. I mounted both my stems on the front and the back of this block. You can do it that way. Okay, and we'll come in here and I'm going to stamp this orange one kind of like right there. Okay, and then I'm also going to stamp it upside down. I kind of did a flip because I wanted my mushrooms to face different directions. Okay, so now we're good to pull these up, and you're going to see that they kind of went where they needed to go. I didn't want them to cover my leaves. Okay. Okay. Okay, so next, after you get your mushrooms stamped, okay, so I'm going to set this over here for just a little bit and show you. We have these really, really cute designer series papers, and they're 6x6, and they are found in the mini catalog as well. And I use these prints for my mushroom cap, one of them. And I love these because they're in blues and corals and greens and browns. And you can use these for masculine cards, pretty much anything. They're really cute for Easter as well. But I used this print here for my mushroom cap. When you have a little scrap piece and you want to use it, feel free to use a Post-it note to hold it to one of the corners or one of the sides to pull it inside your punch. So like this right here, I'm going to use my Post-it to pull that in and to punch this little cap out right here. Okay. So now I have my little mushroom cap, and I did not waste that little 2x2 piece of cards designer series paper. Just a helpful hint. Okay, and then I'm using like just a little dabber, and I'm gonna come in here and dab those edges to that mushroom so they kind of stand out. The mushroom stands out a little bit better with the pumpkin pie ink. So I'm going to bring in my image that I've used, and you're just going to bring that mushroom in just like so. And I used our dimensionals, which kind of gives you a lift on your stamped images. And I just used one of these to put on the back of this mushroom. And then just kind of go over that other mushroom, okay? And then on this one, because this is a punch, you're just going to bring this in. Now, it's always smart to know exactly how your punch lays, because I knew that this mushroom was on the bottom, and so I stamped closer to the top of my cardstock, okay? So know that. A lot of people do templates, and then that way they know exactly how to stamp their images for when to put it in the punch. You can do that as well. This is one of those punches. This is a lot of our punches will leave a white border around the stamped image. This one doesn't. This one stamps out the mushrooms without a border at all, which I like. Okay, so because I want this stem to kind of go over this mushroom, I did the hard way the first time I did this, and I did an X-Acto knife. But because the mushroom cap is going to be over the cut, I just went ahead on the second one and used my snips, my paper snips. These happen to be a wonderful pair of scissors that Stampin' Up! Sells. Cuts beautiful. There's no jagged edges when you're cutting. It cuts your images like butter. Okay, so then after I get this cut, see how I have that stem cut? Let me bring that up a little bit better. There we go. See how I have that? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to bring in your mushroom cap, and you're just going to put that over the cap. And then I kind of came in here and kind of cut that off a little bit because I did not want just a straight edge. So that's how you're going to do that. And you're going to use dimensionals on this as well to kind of give it a dimensional look. I didn't want a flat mushroom. And when you go to put this over your stem, it's going to cover that cut mark. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and stamp the just a little thank you. And I used Old Olive. To stamp that. And I'm just going to come in and stamp right there in that upper right corner. Okay, so my mushrooms have white spots on them, and that's great if that's what you want. But I wanted a little bit of color on my mushrooms, and so I brought in my Calypso Coral blends. And anytime you order our blends, you get a light shade and a dark shade for blending in the colors. And so with this one, I'm using the lighter one. It also has a fine tip and a water brush tip on the ends or the nibs. And I just use this rounded pointy nib on these. And so I'm just going to come in and color my spots to kind of give that mushroom a little bit more color. Like so. And if you want, this happens to be one of my best friends, is a white Uniball gel pen. You're going to see me use these quite a bit in my videos because I absolutely love this. But I kind of went in and kind of added a brighter white to these circles or spots on this mushroom. Okay, so now we've got all of our stamping and detail work done for our main centerpiece. And what we're also going to do is we're going to take white thread, white hemp cord, okay? Now, we sell this, but I also have this in bulk, and so when we sell ours like in 3 or 4 different shades, so you'll get like natural colored white, and I think black comes with it as well. What you're going to do is you're going to double your thread, okay, like so, and then you're going to do a bow. Let's do that again. You got to be careful when you do this because you will lose your focus, because you are going to have a lot of strings coming through that hole there. Okay, you don't want to get sidetracked and confused. Okay, so you see how you have the 2 here and the 2 here? You're going to want to cut this one right here, that 3rd loop that's going to come out. Okay, and then that way, now you have a double bow. See how that works? Okay, so, and I'm going to just trim off the tails. And then depending on how big you want your bow will depend on how you can pull on it, tug on it, or however, it's depending on how fast you want your loops to be. I'm using a glue dot, a mini glue dot, because I just want it to adhere to the back of that knot. And then I'm going to put it right here in that bottom left corner. Okay, and that's what you're left with. Okay. All right, so let's set this aside for now. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our background. See how our background, I did like a tone on tone, and I kind of did a fainter image versus the darker image. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, I'm trying to take the ink out of the image here so you don't get distracted. Okay, so here is my card base. Okay, and what I did, let me make sure I've got my blue ink off of my mushrooms. Okay, you're going to bring in your pumpkin pie ink. Okay, and what you're going to do is I just sporadically did different images here. So this one here is full strength. This one is a stamp off. Okay, so I'm going to go in and do all my bigger caps first. So I'm going to come down here, stamp the cap, and then stamp it again right here because I know that I have a stamp off, another stamp off right there, which is a little bit more faint. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp a bigger one right here, just to where it's going to be an overhang off to the side right there. Okay. Okay. So I'm done with the big fat mushroom. Okay, and then we're going to come in with a big stalk and we're going to do a stamp image right here. Okay, and then we're going to come in and do a fainter one right there and a faint one right there. Okay, then we're going to come in with this little fun dome mushroom, and we're going to stamp it up here in this upper left corner, full strength. Then down here is a stamp off. Okay, and then we have this thinner stem, and we're going to come in and we're going to stamp it right there and stamp it up here as a stamp off. Okay, so that is what I did. And it doesn't look like much right now, but wait till you get everything built on top of each other. Okay, so now we've got our stamping done, and I'm going to move this white piece so it's not a distraction. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so on this far right one, now we're ready to use dimensionals and see how that's going to build together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this up. And it's always important that when you put dimensionals on the back of your projects that you have them even covered. That way when it goes through the mail or the recipient gets your card or your project, that there is no sags in it. So I overload my projects with dimensionals for that reason, because I have done a project before and a month later I look at it and it's sagging in areas and it does not look good at all. So you end up having to redo your projects because of that. Okay, so you're gonna put that right there, kind of like in the center, like so, okay? And then before I embellish this with paints and pens and things of that sort, I'm gonna go ahead and line my card. See how I lined this card here? Actually, let's look at this one. I lined this card in white, and then I put a border piece on the bottom to add some kind of interest on the inside. And all it is it's the back side of this designer series paper. Okay, you can use any paper you want. I have my white already pre-cut, and this is just this is actually 1/4 of an inch smaller than your card base. So this is a 4 by 5 1/4. And I am going to come in and I'm going to use my Tombow glue. I love this for the sake that you have a little bit of wiggle room with this. So if you get it on crooked, you can shimmy it around until it's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and I'm going to put this in here like so. Okay, I just kind of glide your finger around to make sure it is smoothed out and it's adhered correctly. Okay, and then you're going to take a strip of your designer series paper, and in this case we're going to use this one. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and we're going to do like a 2 by 4 is what I did before. And so bring out my cut blade. Okay, there is my designer series paper. And I'm going to do it on that blue gingham. I think that blue gingham is really cute and it's different. So I'm gonna bring my card back in and just kind of come down from the bottom. It's just however far you want. I wanted to kind of come down a little bit, but not all the way, because then this allows you enough room to write your message or stamp happy birthday or whatever you want to stamp on the inside. Now, obviously this is a thank you on the outside, so you might just want to put like a little message on the inside. But if you didn't stamp anything on the outside, then you can always stamp your greeting on the inside as well. So there's different options there for you to do. Okay, now after you do that, the inside is ready to go. I use my white Uniball pen. Remember I told you that I'm quite addicted to this thing. And I kind of went in on these orange mushrooms that are the ones that are a little bit bolder. And I kind of just did some white spots. I did not use any. Sometimes I use the guides, you know, as the ones I already pre-stamped, and some I just created my own dots. So it's just kind of what you want to do, but it kind of, see how it just makes them pop more? I kind of like that. And then we sell this pearlized enamel effects, I guess. They're pearlized enamel effects. You can either get a 3-pack of the white, black, and red, or there's a 3-pack of metallics, copper, gold, and silver. So I'm using the white on this one. And as you can see, as a closer up, you can see that these dry up to look like a 3-dimensional pearl. And that is what they are, exactly, is pearlized effects. And so I'm just going to come in here, and instead of putting your gemstones on here, because you're going to find that I do a lot of gemstones on my work. I like a lot of bling. I just kind of did these. And you want to kind of go straight up and straight down, or straight down, straight up, because then that way when they dry, it's going to look like a round pearl. And I did like 5 spots on that. Okay, so I'm just going to set that to the side. It's going to take probably 15-20 minutes to completely dry. And when it's dry, it's ready to go to whoever's going to receive it. So I hope you like this project. I really love these toadstools. They're really fun. There's a lot of things you can do with them. I want to show you a pink version that I did with this. Here is my pink version. And so play with it, have fun with it, use different color options. I think it would be really great with different colors, pinks, purples, greens, yellows. I think it would be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope that you give this a try. I hope you look at this terrific Toadstool bundle in closer detail, because it is a lot of fun to play with. But until now, I hope to see you in the upcoming videos. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.